What is up, YouTube? This is Jake, aka Arkson, aka whatever other name I'm producing music under, and I've got this heavy drum and bass neurofunk style track I've made, and there's a bass in here I want to show you guys how to make, talk about what I did. I'll go ahead and play a little bit of this first so you can hear it in context, and then I will play the bass on its own. It's this one right here named Fuck. It's also this patch here too, because they're essentially the same patch. This one's just modified a little bit. But yep. So let me go ahead and play this. It might be loud as shit. It also might crackle or lag a little bit just because it's already pretty heavy on my processing and I'm recording now. So hitting play in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you get the idea. Go ahead and play through this on its own now, and then we will go and make it. And then here, whoops. You get the idea. And then there's this bass too, which is basically the same. Alright, so let's make it. Go ahead and create a new live set here. Clear out all the default tracks, load up a Serum, and then we are good to go. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to our first oscillator here, oscillator A. We're going to go down to digital, and we're going to go down to evil long Reese. And that sounds like this. You should probably turn that down a little bit, or put the pitch down, I mean. Okay, there we go. So that's what it sounds like. Pretty interesting. It's kind of rough sounding, but don't worry, this will get a lot better. So next we're going to go to our unison here, and we're going to set that to 5. So it's pretty wide. It's not too wide, but you can hear it already doing the Reese thing. Reeseing real nice. It's a nice Reese. Yeah, okay. So we're going to take the detune down a little bit, though, because we don't want it that wide. We just want the stereo effect to be present. So we should get a sound like this. You can tell it's still doing the Reese thing, Reeseing real good, but it's not as spread out and attuned. Alright, so other than that, I'm going to turn the level up to 100 here. We're pretty much done with this oscillator. The last thing we're going to do here is we're going to actually go into our warp modes, and we're going to do FM from B. Because we are doing a little bit of FMing in this patch. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our second oscillator here. We're going to turn the level completely off so we can't hear it. And we're going to set it to 2 octaves above, and that's actually it. That's all we're doing with this oscillator. Default wavetable here. We're not messing with wavetable position, any of the blend modes, nothing. That's it. Just 2 octaves higher. Alright, so we're going to go back to our FM from B here. We're going to set that to 32%. And we're going to take our first macro here, and we're going to allow that to go up 19. So now we get a sound like this. Still kind of rough sounding. It's a lot more interesting though, and you'll see where this comes into play later on once the sound is a little bit more developed. All right, so let's move on to our filter here because we're done with our oscillators. and we're going to go down to miscellaneous and reverb. I know the reverb filter gets a lot of hate because it's overly used, mostly in the dubstep community, but here we're kind of just using it to mess up the sound a little bit, almost like distortion, but a more unique distortion. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our cutoff to 42 hertz. Come on, we're getting there. Okay. 42 hertz. I'm sure it doesn't have to be exact. I just, that's the value I used. We're going to set our resonance and our drive to 28%. If I could get that, 27, 28, 20, doesn't really matter, just somewhere there, around there. And then we're going to take our LFO here, and the only thing this LFO is going to do is it's going to move at a rate of 1/2, and it's just going to use the default triangle shape here, and we're going to leave the mode set to off so that it doesn't reset when a new MIDI note is triggered. We kind of want it to just go and not have to restart or get interrupted, because this is just going to add the subtle movement to the patch. So we're going to take that and we're going to put it on our cutoff. And we're only going to modulate this down 1. That's it. Any more than that, and the sound starts to get really crazy. And like a comb filter, it throws it out of key. So we don't want any pitch issues. And we really don't want to mess the sound up that much. We just want a little bit. So now it sounds like this. That's pretty cool, but it still doesn't sound quite done. It still sounds a little bit rough. So we're going to go over to our effects now. And the first thing we're going to put on is a distortion. And we're just going to use the tube distortion. We're not doing any selective distortion with the EQ here. And we're just going to move our drive up to 76%. 75, 80, doesn't really matter. That's just, again, the value I used. So next up, we're going to turn on our compressor. Multiband, just adjust the gain. Play a note here real quick. So that's good there. And that's just going to stay as the last thing in our chain. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on an EQ. And this EQ is going to be a notch. We're going to turn the gain down, negative 24 decibels, as low as it lets us go. We're going to adjust the frequency here to 54 hertz, just like that. And we're going to take our LFO here, and we're going to adjust that by 37. And that should sound like this. So just a little bit more movement. Notch filters have an effect on the sound that's similar to that of a phaser, because that's basically what a phaser is. A phaser is just a bunch of notch filters. So this is a little bit more subtle of a phasery sound. It does the job though, and I like the way it sounds, so that's why I went that route. And now for perhaps the most important part of the sound, and where this mod macro comes into play, is an HN high notch 12 filter. And on this filter we have a cutoff that's at 74 hertz. And we're going to take our macro here, and we're going to modulate that up 31. And then we have our resonance at 53%, like that. We have drive at 0, frequency at 62%. Sorry if you just heard that, my dog's barking. And then our frequency here is getting modulated down by a value of 27, an amount of 27. Oops, just that, 27, okay. And that's it. And now we get this. That's a fucking cool sound. Let's adjust the pitch here. So yeah, that's basically it. It's a really cool sound. It has potential to be used as a dubstep sound as well. I can certainly hear that as a possibility. It sounds great as a forefront drum and bass sound. Feel like it could be cleaned up a little bit. It's still very heavily distorted, and there are some distortion artifacts in there I don't really like. But I really like the macro modulation that goes on here. So yeah, have fun making it, have fun tweaking it, doing whatever you want with it. If you use it in a song, I would love to hear it. If you just want to steal it, that's fine too. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.